This is not a ride sharing video. Once again, this is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Today we're going to talk about what is in full swing in America. FAFO culture. In other words, get off my lawn. Get the hell off my lawn. What are we discussing? Wrong door, wrong driveway, wrong lawn. In the last week alone, this very week alone, we have had 3 different unusually harsh, unjust shootings. One being a child knocking on the wrong door. Another case of a basketball going on the lawn of an African American and him firing upon his neighbor and wounding a 6-year-old child of a white family. And last but not least, a young girl and her friends trying to literally turn around in someone's driveway only to have the homeowner start firing upon their vehicle. FAFO culture is in full swing, so we have to ask the question, what the hell is going on? Now, keep in mind, for my beloved MAGA, my folks on the right that point out, Democrats are soft on crime. We're talking about Chicago. We're talking about liberal cities. All of these cases are legal gun owners. No crime, no politician being tough on crime would have stopped any of these. Because in every case, the person firing up on someone is a legal gun owner. Wrong lawn, wrong driveway, wrong door. And in every case, the homeowner decided to take upon himself and fire at the people that was doing this. All legal gun owners. So I don't see how we cannot point to the fact that we have some type of mental illness issue in this country, and the primary choice of aggression from these folks that are mentally ill is a gun. So what do? What the hell's going on in our culture that's leading people to pick up firearms and express themselves over even the littlest of infraction in their lives? And as I just stated, coming up with any sort of law to address criminals is not going to stop this, because none of these individuals were criminals until they started taking upon themselves and firing at someone. As always, this program is and shall remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Liberals are welcome as well. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000. This is what we generally do here around this time. Looking in the comments, they created. What do you mean by they create? Create what? Fox News is proven fake news, says 100% agree now that we've seen what happened with the Dominion lawsuit. Looking in the comments, because we're asking what the hell's making so many people fire upon other citizens so easily. A car full of kids using your driveway to turn around, and that alone is enough to take upon arms and fire at the car? A kid has a basketball roll on your lawn, and you take shots at the parents and a 6-year-old child for a basketball. And obviously the case of Jarl going to the wrong house, ringing the wrong doorbell, and being fired upon through the door. Something has to be causing this. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's not happening in other first world countries. What the hell is going on in America? Tap the screen. As always, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. We're going to go straight to the box because I don't have the answers to this. Hopefully we can discuss it, though. Nobody here. Good afternoon. Welcome. What do you think is leading Americans to just try to wipe each other out for the littlest of infractions?
I think fear mongering has a lot to do with it that the government's doing.
So a car full of young girls try to turn around in someone's driveway. You think the homeowner was firing out of fear?
Yeah, because it could have matched a vehicle that has yelled at him during road rage. It could have matched, anything. This fear mongering has got people on edge.
But don't you first have to wait till the people get out the damn car?
A person with common sense, yes, but America is lacking a lot of common sense.
Yeah. So I have to ask the obvious question. Is there anything we can do to stop what seems to be an increasingly worse problem? I mean, this is not going away. It's not even stabilizing. It's getting worse. Do we continue doing the status quo, or do we actually try to do something to address this?
They're the ones saying everybody's racist. Everybody hates everybody. I haven't met too many racist people. I mean, my upbringings, I have said some racist things without knowing. I've apologized. I've learned from it. I've grown from it. That's
How
what a
would
lot of
you
this
know?
country is doing.
So let me. How would you know, in your opinion, if you met someone who was racist?
Uh, I would think by the way they talk and who they hang out with. Because if you're
So,
racist, you're not going to hang out with other races. But a lot of
so,
people I know, they have friends in all sorts of
so
cultures.
when Kanye West brings a known racist to Mar-a-Lago and Trump has dinner with them, are you suggesting they're all racist because they're hanging out with a known racist?
No, no.
Well, you
I
said
mean,
hanging out with a
you,
racist, so how would you know?
um, well, I'm pretty sure they all knew he was racist, but
And they
one
hung
person
out with him
can't.
anyway.
Yeah, but one person can't change everybody's mind, can they?
No, but I'm trying to find out, what are you using to designate whether somebody's racist? I asked you, you said if you hang out with somebody that's racist, then that's a sign. Now I give you somebody that's hanging out with someone racist, and now you're suddenly saying that's not the case.
Well, it don't make him racist just for hanging out with a racist.
So once again, how do you know, in your opinion, if someone is racist?
Hate.
What do you mean by hate?
Um, I'm. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna use. Me and you are different. So if I came at you for hate on your collar, wouldn't that make me a racist?
What do you mean? You said if you came at me for, I don't explain that.
What?
I don't understand what you're saying.
What? I I've never been hateful towards you about anything. I've been on here a
True,
couple times.
true.
Um, so if I were to change that up, and the first time I came on here, I was calling you all these racial slurs, and everything like that, being the person in my I would be racist.
Right.
That's
So let's go with that. So let's take the LGBT community, particularly transgendered people. You got a lot of Americans that go to mass, attend Catholic church, but they're suggesting that the transgender community is bad towards children. Is that hatred when you ignore the church you go to and its history, but then you attack a community that really has no significant documented evidence where they're abusing children?
yeah, yeah, that would be hatred
Okay.
towards them.
So
But
so
doesn't that also go against the book? Like I don't really see it as hatred per se. It's just they believe their beliefs.
Well, if you're going to a church that has a huge history that has been documented of abusing children, and you continue to go to that church, but your good book tells you to dislike the LGBT community because children are not safe around them, how does that make sense when the church you're
Well,
sitting in has a far greater history than the people you're talking about?
that doesn't make sense. And me myself, I wouldn't be going to that church anymore. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like anyone that messes with our children. They're the future, man. We got to keep their heads level. Let them learn what they're supposed to learn. If that community wants to do their stuff, go ahead and do it. But please don't do it in front of kids. Just like
Right.
I'm, I'm gonna assume you're heterosexual. You like women. Do we sit there
Yeah.
and tell our kids, what we do in the bedrooms? Do we tell
No,
kids what we
but
do?
no, I get your point, but what I'm trying to find out is why is the effort to keep these folks away from kids so strong, but we have a group of people that have a history that is literally generations long of abusing children, and we're doing nothing to keep them away from children. I'm trying to find out where's the logic in this. If you're going to protect
Because
children, The Catholic Church should be where you start, right?
Well, yes and no. Like I could see from both sides. The LGBTQ is growing, right? Like there's
They're
more
nowhere. They're
there's more
nowhere
gay
near the
people coming
size of
out.
the Catholic Church. The LGBT community is nowhere near the size of the Catholic Church.
N-
They don't have
No,
anywhere near that kind of power.
no, they don't. I'll agree. And are all Catholic churches that bad? Just like not all LGBTQ is that bad, but the LGBTQ is pushing more towards the kid. The gay community is growing. We've never had this many
Here's
gays.
what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. As I stated before, the amount of abuse from the Catholic Church is significant. It is lengthy. It goes on for decades. Yet you can see all of that and say, well, it's not everybody. But when it
And,
comes to the transgender community, there's virtually none of this. We're doing it proactively. We're trying to protect the children proactively from something that we think might happen in the future, compared to a section that has a huge history of it. We're passing laws against the LGBT community to protect children, yet there is not one law on the books to protect children against a group that is known to abuse them. I
See,
don't see the
this
logic.
this is where parents play a part, though. I mean, I don't send my kids to the church that's been known to do something.
I want to know, where are the laws? You want LGBT out of schools. You're in favor of
Yeah,
passing laws. Where are the
and
laws against this community?
well, I wait, laws against
The
LGBTQ or
Catholic
laws against
Church,
the
where are the
Catholic? Okay,
laws against the religious institutions that actually have a history
didn't,
of abuse? Where are the laws?
didn't they already take that out of school? Like
No,
so,
we're not talking about out of school. We're talking about getting them away from kids entirely.
well, I don't know where we would start there because it's a aren't religious churches and stuff like on their own spectrum of laws? Like, don't they have their own? Like, they don't have to pay taxes. They don't have their. I forgot the word
No,
I'm looking for
I
here.
don't. Okay, let me give you my clearest example. If LGBT community had the same history as the Catholic Church, they would not be able to have summer camps, Bible school, any of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is happening with Boy Scouts and things like that that are off school grounds. Based on the way we view the LGBT community, a lot of these religious institutions should have no contact with minors at all, in a school or out of a school. They should have zero contact if we truly are concerned with saving the protection, or better yet, protecting children. Yet they have plenty of contact with kids. I don't see how this makes sense to go after one community based on what we think they may do and ignore another community that has actually done it.
Right, and there should be laws against it. But like I
Okay.
was saying, with the religious group, you know, aren't they exempt from most laws?
You're not exempt from abusing children.
I,
I mean,
but
even if
how can
whatever
you
you're
get by that to
suggesting,
set a law?
yeah, but what I'm saying is this: no matter what you think they may be exempt from, there should be folks in Congress, folks in the House trying to pass laws to remove those exemptions based on the fact that your history is horrendous on this side. Yet we're continuing to go after the LGBT community and make it sound as though when it comes to the churches, our hands are kind of tied. They're abusing thousands of children, and that's the best we can come up with.
I I don't know. I don't know the church laws on that extent. I mean,
Do
maybe
you
I could
really
look it up.
need to
I
know
don't.
what the laws are?
Well,
If you're trying to save children, you don't need to know what the laws are. You should be trying to make new ones, which is what they're
well, yeah.
doing to the LGBT community.
No, they should definitely make new ones to the churches that are harming children. Also,
Okay. Then why, any idea why that's not happening? In particular, the people that are going after the LGBT community, most of them are Christians. Most of them are in favor of the people that are abusing the children.
yeah. I'd have to
Do you
say
realize how bad
I'm
this
Christian there too. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's off topic, but you do realize how hypocritical and how bad this
Yeah.
looks, right?
Yes, yes. But
Okay.
again, I'm going back to I think they have laws put in place that they need to get rid of to make churches unexempt for making laws. New laws. Then
I,
I'm pretty sure there's already laws out there to keep churches to have their own space, right?
I guess the only way I can respond is based on their actual history. They should have no contact with children whatsoever. I don't care what you do in life. If you abuse a child, a judge can order you not to be around the child. You can't even live near a damn school. Yet this church, we're talking about exemptions and all kinds of crazy stuff. If you want to talk about a group that is harmful to children, I don't think there is another group of people on earth that is more harmful than this group. Yet we're doing nothing to address them. We're going after trans people who have virtually no
Because we
history at
have,
all of harming children.
but we have a lot of people in office trying to call these people that abuse children maps. Is that right? Is that what they're trying to make this okay with? Um,
I don't.
no,
I guess I got to move it on, but I don't understand how we don't have more people going after the churches if they're really claiming that they want to protect children, how all of the focus is on the LGBT community when they're actually bringing their children to church every Sunday. It makes no sense at all. At the very least, the last thing any politician should do is say, I identify as a Catholic or a Lutheran. You shouldn't be anywhere near this church if you really want to protect children. It makes no sense at all to me, man.
no, it really don't. And if
Okay.
the government was really wanting to protect children, all government, right and left, there wouldn't be no gun zones at school. There wouldn't be that little sign and no security. We secure our money at banks. We secure the president. We secure these people that we don't even know who they are. Why can't we secure the kids?
Well, that's a different argument. We've certainly had that conversation, but we can talk about that on the next one. I got to move it on, though, man. But I do recognize your point. You and I disagree on it, but come on back anytime. We can discuss that.
All right. Have a great day.
Absolutely. All right. What does it say? I saw one. I went, damn, Mr. Liberal, you must have had your brown eye packed in some priest. Wow. So the fact that I'm bringing up the history of the Catholic Church means I've been abused by someone of that clergy? If that is true, that means the entire Republican Party has had a fun time with some transgender people, based on your own opinion. Based on your opinion, if I'm bringing it up, that means I've been abused. That means Ron DeSantis has been hammered by a hell of a lot of folks that identify as a male. Let me continue the program. I always tap the screen, get your boy up to 15,000 likes. What do we say? This is a MAGA-friendly program. We don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. Nevertheless, always, liberals are welcome as well. You don't have to agree with the guests. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn who you agree with. You're always able on this program to state your opinion without fear of censorship. Look at in the comments. I'm Catholic and has never been abused by a priest. Fair enough. How many children can say I have homosexual LGBT members in my family and I have never been abused by them? Yet we are trying to pass laws to supposedly protect children from that community. And we're doing nothing to protect children from a community that has a known history of abuse. I don't get it. I just don't get it. All right, going back to the box. The real Jessica. As if there's a fake one. Fair enough. Come on in, Jessica. Afternoon, Jessica. The actual
Hey,
topic, you can pick whatever, but the actual topic is why are Americans taking the lives of other Americans for some of the most mundane reasons? You pulled in my driveway or you knocked on the wrong door. You got an African American shooting somebody because a basketball went on their lawn. What's leading our country to do this?
it's just we had a president that basically said you can do whatever you want, and there's no penalty for it.
Give me an example. Give me a quote. Give me a quote.
Some of the things that Trump was saying is like he said he could do anything he wanted and not worry about getting in trouble. He even said he could walk in downtown New York, shoot someone, and walk away, and nobody would do anything.
So
So
you think some of these rogue citizens are taking a cue from President Trump?
yeah, and
Mm.
Fox News and all OAN and all the
So
24-hour.
what can we possibly do to turn this around? Because it's getting worse, obviously.
I'm a gun owner, and I believe that we need to do better background checks. That's simple.
Yeah, it's interesting you would say that because the guy who fired upon Yarl, the 16-year-old African American, through the door, even his own grandchild is on the news now talking about, he's had these type of tendencies, he's been racist and things like that. So I kind of wonder if background checks could even pick this stuff up, though.
Red flag laws. That's one thing else. If you're found to be mentally deficit by a doctor or whatever, or your family turns you in and they say, yeah, you're not mentally well, you don't get to keep guns.
But what
It's a
about
simple
the
fix.
possibility? Let's say being a man, being a guy, women can sometimes be disgruntled. You got caught cheating, you gambled the rent money, you came home drunk. I'm going to call the police and report that you have a firearm because I am disgruntled or just I'm pissed off with something you did. How do you stop phony or fake calls to the police to have somebody disarmed?
It's due process. You have to go through the courts and then you have to have the psychological exam like some people have to. And if you're found to be sane, here's your guns back. It's part of a system that we have to go through. It's done in Europe. I mean, they've got rid of firearms for the most part in most of Europe, and they don't have the problems we do.
I don't know
So
if a person doesn't have a lengthy, like, say for instance, I get into an argument with a girlfriend or a wife or something, and I killed you. How are they going to, if I don't write that down or something, how are they going to be able to prove or verify that I got some problems going on?
yeah, it's not a perfect system. We got to start somewhere. It's that simple.
I agree with that. I
We
agree with that.
we can't keep going down the same road because it's leading to a very bad place.
If you had to give your opinion, why do you think we are so hesitant on doing anything? As you said, we need to start somewhere, yet we are so hesitant on making any type of start. Why do you think that is?
Partially, it's due to the lobbying from big gun manufacturers. NRA have pretty much poisoned the well. Everybody's just like, oh, we need to keep our guns. It's all the propaganda behind it. If people would just take a look and see what the hell's pushing all this, they would see what's going on.
So, how do you respond to folks who might suggest, even if you were to get rid of firearms, these people would still do this and they'll just find a different way to do it?
It's like I said, it's not a perfect answer. We're going to have to figure it out. Society's got to grow. It's that simple.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you see a particular leader that might be capable of this? I mean, we got Biden in office now. You got Trump, making an effort to regain power. I mean, where is this going to come from? If we needed what you're talking about, what party do you feel confident? Is it independents, libertarians? Who do you feel confident might be able to get us close, or at least heading in that direction?
Right now, because everybody's either Republican or Democrat, we're going to have to go Democrats for the time being. But we need to find somebody who's not affiliated with either one because they're both bad in some way or another.
What would make you lean more toward the Democrat on this issue than the Republicans?
Republicans they pretty much sold everybody down the river for big business.
Mm. What do you mean by sold them for big business? How?
I mean, I'm a transgender woman, and look at all the laws and crap they're passing. And if you start digging into it, you'll find that there's nothing but a bunch of hate groups that are basically being bankrolled by large churches. The
Let me
evangelicals,
ask you
for
this.
one.
I'm glad to hear you pointed out by pointing out that you're transgender. Have you experienced personally any hatred for what you are?
Yeah,
How so?
I work and I live in Austin, Texas. I mean, living in a red state is kind of a bad thing, anyways. And I was
Well, you
walking
live
into
in a blue
work.
city though. Austin is a blue city though, right?
Yeah, but you still have bigoted people there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was walking in. I mean, I'm very femme. I pass, and this guy walks out and says, "Fuck you, asshole," and kept on walking. I'm like, "Well, screw you too."
But what makes you think that was because of your identity?
I mean, I'm 6'4". I'm not a small person, and
Okay.
I transitioned later in my life, so I do have some very male features, unfortunately.
Right, right.
And this is an older gentleman, probably in his late 60s, 70s. So he may have just been having a bad day. I don't know. But I mean, I get stares sometimes. But I mean, it happens. I just accept it. I'm who I am. And if you don't like it, that's your problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think about my previous conversation was actually more focused on the trans community, LGBT community, certainly using the comparison of children being assaulted by the Catholic Church. What do you think of all of the laws that seem to be coming down the pipe towards your community?
It's a distraction. Same thing happened in the 70s. They went after gays, and the country fell apart then under Reagan. And then gay marriage. I mean, it's always something to distract from what they're either not doing or they're trying to hide.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I'm 51 years old. I've been around a mixed military. So, I mean, you see all this stuff. So many people put on blinders and don't want to see what's going on. They just want to keep things going the way they've been going. But
Did you have
we got
any
to move
issues,
on.
or did you have any issues? I'm assuming you said you just recently transitioned, or whatever the case may be. When you were in the military, did you identify as gay, or did you go straight heterosexual? Did you see any issues in the military?
When I was in the early 90s, yeah, I just kept my mouth
Hmm.
shut and kept my head down.
Wow. Wow. All
Because if you
right,
said
fair
anything
enough.
back then, you were gone.
Yeah, and that was during the Clinton administration. Was it "Don't ask, don't tell" or something like that?
You got it. Yep. So you
Yeah.
just kept your mouth shut and did your job and got the hell out of Dodge.
Fair enough. All right, Jessica, I appreciate it. I got to move it on. My door is always open to you. Come on back anytime.
All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. All right, looking in the comments. Finger pointing will not. Good point, you're right. Oftentimes it does not make a difference. But if we're going to tackle any issue in this country, we need to address the source of it. Sometimes addressing the source of an issue is indeed finger pointing. You got to figure out what the hell's going on before you can ever begin to try to fix it, right? Looking in the comments, I don't see how anyone put their trust in government. It's always a disappointment. Tell that to slaves that were freed, African Americans getting civil rights, LGBT community allowed to have same-sex marriage partners, women getting the right to vote. I don't think big government is always a disappointment. I wouldn't submit to you that small government is the one that wants to oftentimes take rights away. Anytime you hear someone say, I'm returning the rights to the states, taking it out of the power of the federal government, it's generally because the states want to take someone's rights or freedoms away. So there's a difference, in my humble opinion, between big government and small government. Now, I am a minority. I'm going to make it clear. If I was born maybe someone else, I might agree with you. But from a minority aspect, big government has probably done more for me than small government. You have you're entitled to your opinion on that. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 25,000 likes, 800 plus of us in here. Going to go right back to the box. Real quick in the comments, Robert says, why won't you answer the question? The hell if I know what the question is. Let me make something clear before I go to the box. This is a one-man band, folks. I'm playing a hell of a lot of instruments, and I'm trying to play each one of them as good as I can. I'm trying to make sure my guests understand I'm totally focused on our conversation. I am trying to pay attention to the comments and nevertheless respect everybody in the damn process. Sometimes a question is going to get by without yours truly seeing it. It's a lot of shit going on here. I don't even have a moderator on this program. I am so much in favor of free speech. We don't even have a moderator here. By the way, folks, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any fear of censorship or being banned, follow the program. It helps out the algorithms. Going back to the box, if I see your question, I will attempt to answer it. Anthony, 6195. Good afternoon, Anthony. I don't know if it's going to let me in. For some reason, TikTok is acting goofy here. We'll try it again. I tried to let Anthony in. We'll go to the legend. With a name like that, so where is Trump going to build the 10 new cities by giving up federal land? I don't even want to begin. I think that's the craziest thing ever. But he did create the Space Force, and we thought that was crazy as well. Sometimes some of the things Trump says might start out crazy, but they turn out to actually work. So 10 new cities, there are some benefits that could come from that. Sounds crazy in the beginning, but don't count the man out. I'm having trouble with the box. I'm trying to bring up guests and it's acting all kinds of flaky here. So we'll continue in the comments for right now. Miss Amy C says, handsome liberal for president. Shit, you trying to get your boy shot. Hey, I'm always interested in new avenues. Never know. Biden 2024, I see that in there. You are for thank you. People are too sensitive, weak, and cringe nowadays. People looking at you freaks you out. And that's what we're talking about. FAFO culture. As you see, the program is titled Get Off My Lawn. You got folks that are taking the lives of Americans for literally some of the most mundane things. Turning around in the driveway. How does that result in somebody losing their life? A basketball going on someone's lawn. How does that result or tell someone it's okay to take a life? And last but not least, we got to talk about Yarl simply knocking on the wrong door and having a homeowner take shots at him through the damn door. I don't know why I can't move the box or try it again. I'm having problems with the program. I do apologize. Let's try it with My Name is Kitten. Friend, we've talked plenty of times before. Hopefully it'll allow him in here. Kitten.
What's going on, handsome liberal? How are you, man?
I'm doing good. FAFO culture. What the hell's going on? Folks are taking each other out for some of the simplest things in this country. Some change. What's happening right now that we didn't used to do?
You know, there are overall things you can do to reduce the mass shooting phenomenon and the independent shooting phenomenons. I mean, we're not going to do any of them because generally you have a huge population in this country that actually doesn't care that this is going on. Like, they legitimately don't care that this kind of stuff is going on. But things you can do is, for one, with the mass shootings, you need to look at a time period when you didn't have mass shootings in school. Look at the things you were doing during that time period and then go back to that. You know, you had less wealth inequality. You had not great, but better mental health care system than you do now. You had one parent able to work a job and provide a house and a car and all these things, and you can't do that now. So all these things, the education system is drained, right? Republicans have allowed and Democrats have allowed the charter schools to drain the public education system. So now public education is on the fritz because they've allowed these charter schools to suck out all the money out of the education system. So you have a bunch of factors here that are leading to the shootings, but the fact of the matter is, Republicans don't want to do anything about this, and there's a large section of Democrats that refuse to do anything about it because they're taking money from people.
Give me some examples. You say Republicans don't want to do things about this. What's making you say that?
You're still taking money from the NRA. You're still voting for politicians who are taking money from the NRA, and as long as you are doing that, whether you say it out loud or not, that means you don't care about children dying. So you can sit here and say you do, but if you're still voting for people who are taking money from these gun manufacturers, you don't actually care, right? That's the truth.
So what about the Democratic Party? You said the Democratic Party are hesitant to do anything at all. Give me some examples. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, they're taking money from corporate stooges as well. That's the reason why they won't pass any. I mean, they're thanking the Republicans right now. A lot of Democrats are sitting there like, thank God these Republicans won't move on this stuff so that I don't actually have to do something and piss off my donors. Now I can sit here and pretend like I care because the Republicans won't let anything happen. So I can sit here and pretend like I care about these children while I still vote for the same stooges that are taking corporate money and won't do anything for the children. And then I have people in your chat and people that come on your show, and we need to secure the children. We need to secure the. So why don't you just have your children go to in a jail? Send your kids to a jail cell every day to school. They'll be nice and safe. They can sit in a jail cell all day, and then they don't need to worry about getting shot, because apparently that's the solution. More guns, more police, I'll put them in a jail cell. Morons.
So, can you think of any politician on the horizon, whether Democrat or Republican, that would be a good fit to lead this country, that would be in favor of stopping this in a manner you think is conducive to success?
Yeah, Marianne Williamson takes no corporate money. We'll try to get legislation for you, right? She still needs to work with Congress, but you would finally have a president who takes zero corporate money. That would be like the first time in my entire life that we would have a president who takes no corporate donations whatsoever.
Nobody knows her though. You talking about the author, man? No, I mean
Then go learn.
she ran
That's
for
not
president.
listen. That's not my fault. That's your fault. If
No,
you
that's
don't
her
know her,
fault.
that's your
No, wait a
fault.
minute. No, I gotta disagree with you. If you're running for president, just like if you're a door-to-door salesman, the
Mm-hmm.
people should not have to come and find you and your product. You should be promoting your product to the people. The
So,
reason nobody knows her is because she
uh,
is not getting out there. You think AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was known? No, she knocked on doors and did everything she could to become known.
so, so,
Marianne, she ran for president. The woman you're
uh,
talking about ran for president in
yeah.
2016 or
Mm-hmm.
2016, wasn't it?
And how much of the corporate media allows her to come on and doesn't interrupt her when she's speaking? How often do they have her on TV? How many platforms actually platform her to allow you to get to know her?
But think about what
You,
you just said. She takes
what
no
I'm saying
corporate money. Why the
is,
hell would you put somebody on that's
yeah,
saying you are bad for the country?
hey, guys, guess what? You have a whole corporate media that's sponsored by people who don't want you to vote somebody in who's not going to take corporate money, and they're not going to platform those people. So it is up to you to do the research, to find out who's running for president. Yeah, it's on you guys, the voters, to do research. It is on the candidate to try and get to you as well. But you can't tell me that there's no responsibility on the voter to go and do research. That's why we vote in the dumbasses we do now.
I do agree as a constituent, as a voter, you should do your homework, but I disagree that if you don't actually go out and promote yourself to the people, it's their responsibility to find you. I use this argument all the time in regards to why African Americans and minorities don't vote for Republicans. I tell
Hmm.
folks all the time, I don't care how good your policies are. If you're not going out and talking to the people, they're not going to vote for you. Doesn't matter
She
what
is,
you're promoting.
she is going
If
out and talking
Marianne,
to the people. But people who blow up, they blow up on TV. Obama blew up on TV. Nobody knew who Obama was. He blew up
okay,
because news stations were platforming him and he got to talk on a national level. That's why he blew up. Nobody knew who the hell Barack Obama was when he said he was going to run for president. The media
true.
blew him up.
Well, Marianne needs to find some corporation or somebody willing to put money behind her because the way she's doing
Then
it,
you're defeating the whole purpose at that point. And I can tell you guys right now, if you're willing to vote for a Nancy Pelosi who inside trades, and you're willing to vote for people like Jim Jordan who sits there and watch children get abused, you're not going to get gun legislation. So you can just forget about all that right now. If you're going to keep voting for those same people, you guys can stop pretending that you care about children. You can stop coming, oh, I do care about children. No, you don't. You don't.
all right, kid. I got to move it on. You've been promoting Marianne for a while, so you have been consistent. But I'm going to tell you, I do this every day, talk to a hell of a lot of folks that are interested in politics, and you are literally the only person I've ever talked to promoting her. So the name has got to get out better than that. Whatever
And
you're doing,
that's why this
whatever
country
you're
will not
doing,
make progress.
whatever you're doing as a Marianne supporter, you need to find a way to clone yourself. I'll give you the last word.
And that's I've seen people in it says she won't get voted for. Well, yeah, and if you don't, expect more shootings. If you don't start voting for people who stop taking corporate money, expect the same. Don't sit here and tell me it's going to be the same. I already know it.
All right, fair enough. Come on back in anytime, kid. Stay
Have a good one.
consistent. You too. All right, look at it. And as I said before, like I said, I'd say this about anybody in the political sphere. If you don't get your name out, it's kind of like in sales. You know, as a politician, your job is to sell yourself to the public. Just like in sales, the doors you don't knock on are the sales you don't get. And I don't care if you're Mary Ann or if you're the Republican Party or whatever the case may be, because the same statements often apply to Republicans that are talking to minorities. You should be smart enough to turn on Fox News, OAN, or Newsmax and realize we're better than the Democratic gravy train you're falling for. That's not how it works. If you're not coming to these neighborhoods, as they say, shaking hands and kissing babies, you're not going to get a vote. Doesn't matter how great what you're offering is. People are not going to vote for people that don't talk to them. And when it comes to the Republican Party in particular, in regards to getting the minority vote, it's not talking to us. It's talking at us. You guys are too dumb to decide for yourself the Democratic Party is not in your best interest. That's not going to get anybody to vote for you. Looking in the comments, Republicans are anti-life. Whoa! I don't believe that. You really believe that? Army Dad says you are confused. Feel free to state your reason, elaborate on that. The Second Amendment is there for a good reason. One, we are walking into, again, not my, I'll go back to the box real quick. And by the way, tap the screen. 35,000 likes are possible with over 1,400 of you in here. I'll say this in regards to the Second Amendment. Whether it's tyranny, whether it's your ability to hunt or protect your family, the Second Amendment gives you insurance against coming into contact with some very unfavorable conditions, such as needing to defend your family in the middle of the night. Having a firearm as your insurance, at least giving you a fighting chance. However, just like with insurance that gives you coverage against something unfortunate, insurance comes with deductibles and premiums. There is a cost for insurance no matter what you are trying to insure. What is the cost of the Second Amendment in America? 30-some-odd thousand suicides using firearms, all of the stuff you guys love to talk about in Chicago, the subjects we're talking about here, all of that is the premiums for you having the Second Amendment. And unfortunately, in an era of inflation, those premiums seem to be going up substantially. That is the cost of you having Second Amendment rights. It's turning on the news every night and hearing about the premiums. Going back to the box. Heather Mommy, good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. Finally, my box is working. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, how are you? Okay, so I just want to say something real quick about Kitten. So he was saying how Republicans do not care, but the Democrats are not doing anything. They are not putting forth any bills for the safety acts of the schools or anything. The Republicans have, and the Democrats have shot it down. I think it was only one Democrat, actually.
I gotta disagree with you.
It was Chris Murphy.
Let me say, I got to disagree with you. I think the Democrats are putting forth bills. You just think they're ridiculous. If the Democrats want to ban, say, assault rifles.
No school bills, no school safety bills, no bills for more mental health, no bills for better security at the schools. They only want to focus on gun legislation. That's it. But here's the thing. Regardless, the Dems want the guns. The Republicans, here's what's wrong with the Republicans and why they can't get these bills passed. Because instead of just putting in a bill like the Securing Our Schools Act and protecting our children and keeping it focused on mental health and school safety, what do these politicians do? They throw in the pork and beans into this stupid bill. And like, I think on the one bill they had inside about like abortion stuff. Like, what does that have to do with protecting the children? So both sides are guilty and neither one of them care. Because one wants like the Republicans want to look.
Let me ask it to you this way. As opposed to, now you're correct, there's a hell of a lot of conflict between Republicans and Democrats that lead to nothing getting done. So let me present it to you from a separated aspect. In the Democratic areas, you see Democrats always trying to propose tough gun laws. Now, many folks would point to Chicago and suggest that stuff doesn't work. But when you look in Democratic areas, even if it's not working, you see what they are trying to do, and that is address guns. When you look in Republican areas, Republicans will tell you the problem is more along the mental health issues. It's not guns, it's mental health issues. But when you look in Republican areas where there are no Democratic interference, what do you see? You don't see any type of laws where it's easier to get mental health, for instance, or you don't have to worry about any payments or costs associated with mental health. What are they doing in their own areas, whether effective or not effective, to address what they actually believe is the problem?
Nothing. Everything they do, but that's the problem. We need to start like writing, our politicians, these people that we vote in, and they all just like they just want to put on a show and be like, well, and then the media just feeds into it, and then it gets everybody, well, the Republicans don't do this or the Democrats don't do this. No, they're both guilty. Why can't we just do something right now? Like, why can't there just be, let's do what's easy first. Let's do better for mental health. Let's do better for school security, and then just work on one bill at a time instead of having these bills just with a bunch of mumble jumble in it. It's ridiculous.
I
And they're
have an
both,
answer for that.
ugh,
I have an answer for that that normally should be bipartisan, where both sides should agree. Now, obviously, the Democrats want to tackle guns. That's going nowhere with the right. I get that. That would never be bipartisan in today's era. However, the Republicans are saying it's mental health. The Democrats actually agree with that part. Why not have the Republicans propose making mental health something you can get addressed for free? If the Republicans believe the problem is mental health and they decided to pass laws where you could get free socialized care for mental health, you're not going to get a disagreement from the Democrats on that. It's not Obamacare, but at least when it comes to seeking mental health, you don't have to deal with all of the costs associated with it. If the Republicans truly believe it's mental health, that is one area where they could get something done. And I don't think you'd have a hell of a
right.
lot of Democrats disagreeing with it.
Right, and they wouldn't. I mean, the only reason why that one Democrat voted the bill down in the first place was because deep down in that bill, if you go into it and read it, which I didn't really know until I really looked into it, because I didn't understand why would somebody say no to that. And then I seen that they put abortion stuff in there, and I was like, well, why would
Yeah.
you do that when you had
Yep.
bipartisan, like everybody was for this? I just don't understand, but a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know that unless you actually go into and read the bill. I mean, you can even go onto the Ted Cruz website and read the bill, and he mentions nothing about the abortion stuff being in the bill, and it's frustrating. And then
Mm.
it makes you wonder, like, why don't they just do it?
Now, see, this is
What's
one
stopping them?
area. Yeah, see, this is one area. Even though I lean left, this is one area that I think Trump would be a more beneficial leader in, because Trump would point out that unnecessary or that bullshit pork that's in the bill. Now, Trump obviously is going to be for guns, and
Right.
he's against everything the liberals are for. But in regards to a bill where everybody agrees, but it's causing problems because there's some bullshit pork in it, Trump is the kind of president that would get on TV and point that out. Like, I got something here that both people are okay with, but one side or the other is trying to stick something in here that is putting the gum in the wax. I don't think you're going to hear that from Biden as much, but I think Trump would say something on that line.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, but yeah, I just get tired of hearing people say, "Oh, Republicans don't care, they don't do anything." But I mean, neither one of they're both sides are guilty of doing this. Nobody's really doing what is right for the kids if you really look at it. I mean, they just need to get off of their high horse and do what's right. They're both everybody's guilty. They're both guilty. I don't
But
and
how
I lean more
about
right, but
yeah, but how about, because folks in the comments are talking about taking money from the NRA. At the end of the day, we know what the NRA stands for. Do you think that's a good thing to have the NRA deeply involved in our political system?
I don't I mean, probably not, but I mean, how are you going to make laws about like what companies can and can't support candidates? How are you going to stop something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could reduce the amount of money someone could contribute or reduce the amount of candidates they can support. It's a good question. It would be very difficult to tackle, but when you got one entity, and the NRA is not the only group doing stuff like this, but when you got one entity pouring that much money into politics, it's pretty easy
Hmm.
to see why they're getting their way. I mean, they are throwing a hell of a lot of money around.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just like the people who backed George, or same, just look at the people who George Soros supports. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah, he's throwing a lot
You
of
know what
money
I
around.
mean? So,
So
yeah.
at the end of the day, Now, in regards to what we're talking about here, wrong door, wrong driveway, wrong lawn, even with all of the violence that's been taking place in America, you now have people getting shot for going about their lives and doing nothing wrong. Just trying to turn around in someone's driveway and having somebody fire on your car or knocking on the wrong door by mistake. As, with all of the violence that's going on, this actually qualifies as new shit. Where is this coming from?
I have no idea, but it scares me to death because I have a 13-year-old that plays outside and is always out running around, running the neighborhood with his kids on the bike, going to the Dairy Queen, whatever. And then I have an 18-year-old who's leaving for college this fall. And what do you even say to the kids? Like, hey, if your basketball goes into the yard that you don't know, like, just leave it? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
do you
I
say?
grew
It's
up in yeah,
ridiculous.
I grew up in an era where you could knock on somebody's door and ask to borrow a cup of sugar or something like that without somebody
Yeah, we used to
blasting you
go
through the
house to
door.
house. Yeah, we used
Yeah.
to go house to house selling like school stuff, like fundraisers whenever I was little. Like
So
people I
yeah,
didn't
so
even
did
know,
I.
they'd
I
give
sold
me checks.
yeah, I did the same thing, sold candy. This will probably make this Halloween a totally different, trick or treat might be over as we know it. But I gotta move it on, Heather. It's
All
gotta
right.
be some crazy times. Appreciate you
I know
coming in.
it's crazy. Have a
Absolutely.
nice
You,
weekend.
you too. You too. Thank you. Looking in the comments, someone said, who the hell said that? User says Trump destroyed America. That is way too. You're in America right now. Does it look destroyed? How about you go to Syria or go to Ukraine? Check out what a really destroyed country looks like. Looking in the comments, I'm in New York City and those days have been long gone. That's sad. That is really sad. Things would help. Vote blue, says Cubs 1952, friend of the program. Call on me, says Scott. All right, we'll keep it back in the box. Sir, how can I convince more black folks to leave the Democrat plantation? Coco, excellent question. Number of answers. First of all, we're not going to stand in line and support a candidate right next to a white supremacist. So if you believe there's even a sliver of a chance that a white supremacist is among your group, get them out of line. I'm not going to stand next to some dude waving the Confederate flag talking about pride and heritage when I know what the hell their heritage is doing to mine. So that's the first thing. If you want Republicans and African Americans to unite, get folks that are hateful towards us out of your ranks. You want to stand next to Farrakhan? So that's the first thing that needs to be discussed. Second thing, come to our communities and talk to us, not at us. Talk to us. You don't have to point out how bad Chicago is every damn day. Come to our communities, have something good to say. I watch Fox News, been watching it for 20 years, and I can tell you in my own humble analysis, my opinion toward the African American community has deteriorated just simply because of how much bad shit Fox News states and shows. Is there not a single African American college in America where everybody is, on a dean's list or something? You don't see anything positive about the African American community on Fox News. We're not all that freaking bad. Chicago is not the Gaza Strip. I've had people on the right side of the aisle tell me personally, I went to Chicago and actually for work, it wasn't that bad because they've been watching Fox News. The grandson of that guy who took out the 16-year-old for knocking on the wrong door says that father or that grandfather that fired through his door watches Fox News all day. If that is true, and I was his attorney, I would use that as a defense. I can understand anybody. And even though I am African American, I can totally understand anyone that watches that network all day having a negative reaction about black people. I can totally understand it because that is all they talk about is things that we're doing. A Walmart or something gets burglarized or they take it over. It's ran on every segment on Fox News. I can totally understand it. Looking in the comments, why do you have a MAGA hat? Every show I get that. I'll talk about it in a second. Going back to the box. Oh no, it's Exmo. Joe, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 45,000 likes, folks. If civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle is what you enjoy without fear of censorship, follow the program. That's what we do here, Monday through Friday. Exmo, good afternoon.
It's your old friend Exmo Joe. How you doing, handsome?
I'm doing good. We're talking about wrong door, wrong lawn, wrong driveway.
Sure.
What's making Americans fire upon other citizens for simply doing what they normally do?
Look, there are some parts of this conversation where we disagree, but if we can focus on one place that we all agree, it's that there's a mental health problem. Now, of course, people on the right will say, well, that the Democrats aren't doing anything about that, but I say that is quantitatively unfair. We have had multiple bills proposed by Democrats to address the rampant mental health problems in this country and the lack of access to affordable mental health services, not least of which was the Medicare for All Act of 2019, proposed by Senator Bernie Sanders, to propose that more people should have, that we should expand federal funding and expand the tax base so that we can afford for everybody to have access to mental health care services. So, I mean, look, you may not agree with what Senator Sanders' solution is, but I won't sit here and have people tell me that that nobody's doing anything about it, when the fact of the matter is there are no bills on the books or going up on the books to expand mental health care services that are proposed by Republicans. They are all proposed either by independents like Bernie Sanders or progressive Democrats. And so, I mean,
So,
fair
so
is
at the
fair.
end of the day, when you look at what's happening in America and the way we are tackling, as you're pointing out, doing virtually nothing, is it safe to say we just simply don't care what's going on?
I don't know if it's in all sincerity, I think that it's an information overload problem. If we look at the difference between different generations, we have people in the past used to all go to mostly the same news sources to get most of their news and information. In this day and age, we are through our social media, through our access to multiple kinds of news sources of different credibility on our smart devices, our smartphones, and so forth. We're kind of and even in our communities, we are kind of inundated with so much that people become desensitized and they start to kind of not want to pay attention to it because it is emotionally taxing for them. So I think that's the
So,
reason why people limit their diet of information.
so let me ask you this, because you mentioned the Democrats and even Bernie Sanders making an effort. In the comments, Tal Ritter stated the Democrats had the House and Senate and the presidency for 2 years. If we have these type of ideas you're pointing out, why the hell didn't we do anything? How do you
Yep.
respond to that?
I'm very happy to say that the Democrats let us down on that. And well, I'm unhappy to say that, but it's true. And and that's partially because of, I think everybody knows that that's because of corporate influence in Democratic politics exists as much as it does in the Republican side of politics. But I will point out that that doesn't mean that they haven't done anything. It meant that they couldn't get it through the actual formal process of getting votes actually passed. And part of that I put on Joe Biden. He could have done better. Now, that being said, I think Joe Biden is definitely better than Donald Trump. I think he's getting a lot of good things done. But when it comes to mental health care, he's fallen short, and he needs to
Let me
step up as well.
let's tackle what you just said, because my beloved
Yeah.
MAGA, I often get MAGA suggesting that Biden is the worst president in history. It's not uncommon to hear people say that. So when you
Right.
point at Biden, when you suggest that Biden is getting things done, for the audience at home, give me three things you feel quite happy about that Biden has accomplished during this 2.5 years almost in office.
Okay. So one is that he got the infrastructure bill passed, which is creating jobs all across this country and helping to repair our dilapidated infrastructure. That's an awesome thing. Another one would be that he fought to expand healthcare services for America's veterans and get more funding for America's veterans, and to get higher pay for our soldiers. And I think that's important. Anybody who
Has that
supports
is that something he fought for? Now I'm not
anybody.
military, so I'm pleading ignorance. But you said he fought for. Is that something he fought for and succeeded, or is that something that's still out there?
It's in the budget proposal for this year, so it's still they're working. He's working on it now.
And the reason I'm asking you that is because I like to be fair. Because when I ask folks on the right the same question, they talk about Trump tried to build a wall and things like that. And in my opinion, if you don't succeed, then it's not an accomplishment. If you're trying, that's great. But at the end of the day, swinging at a pitch, if it's a strike, it's a strike. I need something in the stands. So give me two more.
Okay, something that Joe Biden has managed to get accomplished is the distribution of vaccines for COVID-19. That's been an outstanding success,
You don't get
and
Trump credit for Operation Warp Speed. I don't know if Biden could
I
have done this.
100% give him credit for Operation Warp
Okay.
Speed.
All right.
Absolutely, no.
So you're
Look,
giving Biden credit for following up what Trump allocated the money for.
I'm giving for the research to publish it. I'm giving
Okay.
Biden credit for the distribution of the vaccine.
All right.
Uh,
Fair enough.
Other thing, let's see. One other thing that I think Joe Biden has done well at. I
Let me
was thinking.
let me interrupt you because I like to point out hilarious shit. In the comments, Scott says Biden did wake up today, so that's that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see here. Joe Biden. I have.
We
Let's
only
see.
asked you for three. You know, it's through half a term. You got
I
to
am.
have three of
I'm
them.
telling you. I'm coming. I'll come up with a third one, but I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't have as hard a time coming up with three about President Bernie Sanders or just about anybody else. Look, like I said, I have criticism for Joe Biden. I have people who say that those of us who voted for Joe Biden just can't think that the man can't criticize the man on anything. They're totally wrong. We got plenty of criticism for Joe Biden.
Right.
We,
Right.
we can think critically about the man's experience, and I can think critically about criticism against Donald Trump. But the wholesale difference is that is in fact that Donald Trump was not a good president, and that getting him out of office was as much a good thing as getting Joe Biden into office.
All right.
But
Now you pointed out that you
oh,
favor Biden, and
mhm.
obviously you believe it was important to get Trump out of office. But let me ask you this question: do you think Biden should run again?
um, yes, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I think he should either run again unless there is somebody more progressive who can step into his shoes who is going to run. For example, like Katie
And
Porter.
the reason I asked that is because a lot of liberals who favor President Biden will also say he shouldn't run again. I mean, if the guy's doing a decent job, you should want him to be reelected. I don't understand how, it's
Oh,
an ageism thing. We know it's his age, but at the end of the day, if he's performing okay and you like him, you should want more of him. And there's a lot of liberals that are suggesting that Biden should not be president. Last but not least, give me number three.
number three. Okay, I got it. Is that Joe Biden has is fighting currently has expanded has put pressure on the pharmaceutical industry to lower the price of insulin, which is a
Has it
huge thing.
happened? I
Huh?
want a home run. Has it happened, or is this a swing?
It has happened. Well, okay, so they lowered the price of insulin because of what the Democrats are trying to do, and Joe Biden is still fighting for it. He has not given up on it, and the Democrats have not given up on it. But of course, they're going to need control of the Senate in order to make it actually happen. But
I don't know if you gave me. I mean, I hear base hits. I don't know if I heard a home run, but okay, you did answer the question. I got to move it on, though. Exmo, appreciate you
look,
coming in here.
they lowered the
All right.
prices. That's a home run in my book. So, and
Okay.
just because I love so many people who are diabetic, because I'm sure you do as well, and these people have been paying absurd prices for insulin for far too long. And something, Trump said he was going to get something done about it. He did nothing, and now Joe Biden got something done. Now maybe it's not what he wanted, maybe it's not what I want or what you want necessarily, but he got it done.
No argument there. Come on back
All
through
right.
anytime. All right. Hey, Joe. All right, lowered does not mean affordable. Well, that is true, but no matter what you price something, somebody else is going to say they can't afford it. Hell, you got folks talking about they can't even afford an ID so they can vote. So it doesn't matter how much you lower something. Some people are going to say they cannot afford it. Trump lowered it. Then Biden raised it. I have not heard that. Inflation Reduction Act, improved health care for our vets. All right, there's two. And by the way, real quick, Always tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000 likes, 700 plus of you in here. Folks ask, why the hell does a liberal have a MAGA hat? Now, being candid, anybody who watched the program regularly has heard me give this spiel many times, but I strongly believe that conservatives, Republicans, particularly MAGA, do not get a fair play when it comes to the media. The minute they start talking, they get banned. I have a YouTube channel where I actually post videos on both sides of the aisle, political stuff. Hashtag MAGA gets me banned all the time. Hashtag Trump. All of a sudden, my stuff is being censored. I believe no matter what the hell someone says, if it's their opinion, as long as it's not, a danger to someone else, you don't have any right to ban somebody. As a liberal, a lot of things that I believe in, people think I'm a total idiot. Do I want them to censor or ban me because they don't like what I may say about abortion or gun control or religion? No. It's not fair to do it to me, so it wouldn't be fair for me to do it to someone else. Purpose of the hat, let MAGA know this is and always will remain a MAGA-friendly zone. You don't have to worry about being blocked, censored, or banned when you come in this room. As long as the TikTok gods will let you talk, damn sure will I. There is no censorship or banning here because of your opinion, and you never have to agree with the host. Looking in the comments, Trump jail. 2 words. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't believe that's going to happen. I'd be willing to probably put about 10-1 odds. Trump never does a day in jail, but there are people who are holding their breath. Good argument for UBI. I saw this one before, too, and I thought it was kind of comical. MAGA means my ass got arrested. Some other folks would say, what does it mean? Making something, attorneys or something. My ass got arrested. He did get arrested. That did actually happen. All right, we'll go back to the box. Ranger 1999 or 1119. Good afternoon. I think we'll go to jail before Trump does, says Chris. I don't think Bragg's going to go to jail, but I think if it was going to happen, you're probably right. I don't see Trump doing any time. Ranger, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, handsome?
I'm doing good. What's causing Americans to fire upon other Americans for doing regular everyday shit, like turning around in someone's driveway or knocking on the wrong door? What do you think is leading Americans to fire on their own fellow citizens for just doing what they normally do?
Well, first of all, I spent 15 years in the service as an Army Ranger, but
Thank you for your service.
Besides that, I grew up. I'm 53. I grew up during a generation where you went and helped your neighbors. You went, like you said, go borrow a cup of sugar or flour or what it is. I think what is happening is that this new generation is just about me, 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 me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the people doing this are our age or even older. The guy who popped the kid through the door was in his 80s. I mean, it's not the younger generation that's doing some of this stuff.
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen that. To be honest, I haven't seen that yet.
But you haven't heard about that?
No, I haven't heard about that yet. But I will look it up. But
okay,
go ahead. I don't know which generation. This generation is just about me, and a lot of people don't understand that. More crime is committed with handguns than it is with AR-15s or anything like that. I mean, you can look at Chicago, you can look at St. Louis. I'm originally from New Orleans. New Orleans now has the highest murder rate in the country. I think it has to do with education. We need to get into these lower communities and provide jobs and educational opportunities. Also, mental health. Your previous guest said that the Republicans didn't present a mental health bill. Look up HR 432. That was a bipartisan bill that was presented by the Republicans and Democrats. It was bipartisan.
Why did it not pass?
It did pass.
Is this a state bill or is this federal?
Federal. The Ways and Means is the Ways and Means Committee.
What did it do for the citizens? HR 432. What was the outcome? Like
to provide mental health for everybody.
Is it free?
That I can't tell you. I'd have to do a little more research on that. But they did. It was a bipartisan bill that was presented. It's HR 432. I have to get. It is free.
Yep. I see somebody in the comments said they'll read it for you folks that are watching. If you, look it up, see what's, feel free to
Yeah.
drop a comment. HR
But I
4.
think I think personally that all insurance companies should provide mental health care, because if you can't take care of your brain, then because your brain regulates the rest of your body. It's like a computer on a car. You got
Yeah,
to
but
take
you
care of your
can't
brain.
make in a capitalist system, you can't make the businesses provide services for free. This has to come from the government. It has to be
Right.
socialized healthcare, which folks on the right don't like that term, socialized healthcare. That's where it
Right.
has to come from.
Well, it has to be because you can't, right, you can't force businesses to provide it.
Right.
But if you have enough customers that demand it, then they would have to start providing it. I mean, because I have Blue Cross Blue Shield and I pay through the
Right.
nose for it. But
Yeah.
and mine, the
I'll
only
just
reason I
interrupt
get
you.
help, the only reason I get mental health care is through the VA.
Okay, well, let me just say this real quick, interrupt you. Somebody in the comments said it is not free. So, HR 432, apparently the
Okay.
healthcare is providing is not free. So, if somebody is sitting at home, lost their job, and thinking about swallowing their pistol because they can't find work, well, they can't do anything with HR 432 if they have no money. If in my opinion, with both sides stating that mental health is part of our problem, getting mental health should be 100% free all across the land. And we know it's not. So that's the biggest problem. Even when it comes to regular injuries, how many folks are catching Ubers and things like that to the hospital because they're afraid of ambulance costs, or in some cases, even dying at home because they don't want to risk how much it costs to go to a hospital? As
Yeah, I
long as we
agree.
keep ignoring that, I don't see a solution.
Yeah, I agree. I think the government should provide mental health services free because I suffered from PTSD real bad, and I'm on medicine now. But and it's helped me a great deal. But it should be
Let me
free.
ask you that. Let me tackle what you just said. You suffer from PTSD, and I appreciate the boxing gloves, JP. Thank you for your generosity. In regards to being military and suffering from PTSD, do you believe someone coming home from a war zone or something with PTSD? Do you believe they should maintain their gun rights?
Yes,
Now that's
unless
a mental health issue.
unless they have acute. Now they have it. They have different categories. Unless you have the way the VA does it. Unless you have acute PTSD. Acute PTSD is very severe. Very,
How do you
very severe.
diagnose acute from the normal PTSD?
Well, because we all have different experiences, and everybody, just like people in the civilian world, everybody processes things differently. People react to it differently based on your personality, your characteristics, your DNA. Me, I was able to compartmentalize a lot of things until I got out, and then it just started hitting me. Like fireworks on the 4th of July. I used to not be able to hear it because it would just trigger me real bad. But there is different levels of PTSD, and a lot of
I
veterans
got
know
two.
those.
I want to follow up with you on that, but I got one other question I want to ask you first, because this is coming from Deborah Wills in the comments, saying that nothing should be free. You work for what you want. How do you respond to that when we're talking about mental illness right now? Having someone probably leaning right that would suggest you shouldn't get anything for free. You should work for what you want.
Well, I'm conservative, and but I don't register as Republican. I'm independent because I believe you should hire the person that's right for the job. That's how I look at it.
Okay,
Now,
but wait a
as
minute. If
far as
I
the free men,
how
as
do you?
far as the
But
free,
wait, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about.
yeah,
I'm
no, but the
saying if
mental
I
should
have,
be free.
huh?
Mental health should be free. I'm sorry, it should be free for
Okay,
everybody.
that's what we're discussing. All right.
But
So
another problem with the mental health system too is you don't have enough psychiatrists out there to treat everybody. You don't, because it took me almost a year to get one. There's not enough in that field to treat people, and that's just a fact. I've seen
Maybe
a friend of mine had to wait 2 years before he could go see a psychiatrist. It's
I would
just
tell you, maybe if we weren't building hundreds of F-35s at 100 million a pop, we could probably get a few of these people. I think there's places where we're wasting money and we're ignoring places where we need that money. I
I totally
mean,
agree.
yeah.
Totally agree. I
So,
totally agree. I mean, because you think about how much a ship costs to build. I mean, you're talking about
right.
millions and millions of dollars. When you can repurpose that money into a healthcare system to help people with their mental illness. I mean, look at these kids. Can I talk about the school shootings real quick? The school
So,
shootings, these schools. Let me tell you the solution to that. Do like they do on military bases. Put a checkpoint at the entry. If you don't have an ID, I'm telling you, listen. If you need to have an ID or a school card in order to enter the premises and check their cars and bags.
why do we, let me ask you, and I hear what you're saying and I can imagine it, but let me ask you, why do you think that America is the only place that needs to have a school that looks like that?
Because we live in a free
Right?
society and people just have, people are crazy. I mean, they are. They just,
But
this is
America, but in regard,
like the latest one that well they call that transgender that went into the school and killed those kids and that teacher and those two teachers. What was the
right.
purpose? What was the point in doing that? What point did she make by killing those kids? What point was it?
I don't think any of these mass casualty events are making points. I really don't. I think it's just, as you say, people are crazy. But I'm trying to figure out, in regards to your first point about turning schools into Fort Knox and things like that.
No, I'm not saying Fort Knox, but just have a checkpoint.
Well,
Come
they got
in.
one in front of Fort Knox. They have a checkpoint in front of Fort Knox. You
Yeah.
got the things that come up out of the cement to make your tires go flat. I mean,
Well,
this is
we
school.
we have it at airports. Our children are way more important than an airport, don't you think?
Yeah, but why isn't this happening in other first world countries that are equally as free? What is going on in America where all of a sudden the kids need to damn near be in bomb shelters when you can go to France or Germany, do everything you can do in America, and their kids do not need to be defended like that?
That's a good question. I can't answer that. I really can't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if COVID
Is
had
there
a
any
lot to do with these
difference?
kids.
Is there anything you can clearly point out that's different here in America that's different from France or Germany or some of these other countries?
Well, I was in Germany for 4 years. I mean, they didn't have all that when I was there. Um,
Can you get an
I don't
AR-15
know. I
In
really don't
Germany?
know. I think it's just a generational mentality. I don't know. That's the only way I can. That's the only thing I can. I mean, because you got young kids in low poverty areas walking around with guns, killing people for no reason over
There
territory
are
or.
but there are low income areas in France and Germany and Italy. They're not doing that.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe
I
we need to
don't
take
know.
a page from their book. Any chance
Probably.
maybe we need to talk to them and sit down with folks that are not having this problem and ask them, what do you think we're doing wrong?
I agree. But did you know? Did you know that if you look it up, did you know that United States, if you look up the highest crime rates in countries, United States is not even in the top 50. Honduras, El
Uh,
Salvador, all them are in the top 5. I mean,
yeah, but if
killing.
you point out the first world countries,
Mm-hmm.
America is really bad when you look at Western Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. When you start talking about countries that make America look better, it's some pretty shitty places. But if you look at the finer countries on earth, we're way down there. We're nowhere near good. You got to come up with the Honduras or someplace like that before America starts looking decent.
Yeah, somebody in the comments said that Germany does not allow guns, but
Yeah,
um,
I believe that. I believe that.
I don't think, and I'm a gun owner. I'm a Second Amendment guy, but guns don't kill people. It's the people behind the guns that kill people. You know,
Right. Well, but
It's
based
not the
on
gun.
that
I mean,
argument,
think about it,
based on
Mick. You come from my generation. I remember back when I was a kid in school, we had guys coming on school campus with guns in their trucks in the windows. You know, I don't know. I think it's just a generational thing. Liberal, handsome liberal.
well,
I really
I
do.
gotta move it. I gotta move it on, but I will agree with you. When we were children, guns were readily available when things were not the way they are now. But I will say this: the wage. One of my callers earlier stated the wage disparity was not as great. People were treated better at their jobs. They earned better. You didn't have health care struggles like you do today. Overall, our society was being treated better by the haves than they are now. So there's probably more disgruntled people in this generation. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, you hear people saying, well, young folks nowadays don't want to work. Well, when we were coming up, you could go get a job and actually do something with the money. Now, what
Right.
they're paying, the money ain't shit. So people don't want to go to work. But I got to move it on, Ranger.
I
Appreciate you
agree.
coming
I
in here.
agree. I totally agree with that. I really do. I think that's the problem right now. I really do.
Yep, I don't disagree. Catch you later, man. Hey,
All right. Thank
thanks
you,
for your
sir.
service.
Have a great day. God
Absolutely.
bless you.
You too. All right. In the comments, our parents would beat the hell out of us, not buy us a puppy. D. Perigo, yeah, you are correct. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and yeah, he didn't take no shit. I don't, kind of wonder how my dad would even function in a society where LGBT rights are equal. It was a different time back then. It really was. You could send your kids to college on one person's salary. Yep. Yep. I mean, when I was coming up, my parents could go to the doctor and hand them the Blue Cross card, and there was no payment at all. You just get it and walk out. Nowadays, folks are afraid to go to the doctor. Even folks with insurance are hesitant to go to the doctor because the copays and deductibles have gotten outrageous. And they just keep going higher and higher and higher. Yet the companies you work for, the people that earn at the top, their wages keep going up. And for some reason, there's always an excuse when it comes to giving you a raise. There's a lot of disgruntled people out there. That's probably something to do with it. Like he pointed out, my last caller, and many of my folks on the right point out, guns have always been available. So maybe you got a lot of unhappy people in this country. I don't know. I can't parent well, so I'll beat my kid. My name is Kitten. I'll go back to the box. By the way, folks, tap the screen. I was hoping to get around 60,000. If you guys are generous, let your thumbs not be lazy. Show your boy some love on this Friday. Happy Friday to everyone. Tap the screen. Help move it on. It always helps the algorithms. You know what I say. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone. The program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. In regards to I can't parent so well, so I'll beat my child. We came up through that era, and I don't know. I think that while I'm not a fan of putting your hands on your child, I do believe that more punishment for children should be on the table. Because we live in a day and age where you can't put your hands on your child, and your child knows you can't put your hands on them. So when you tell your child to do something, it is essentially negotiable because the child knows your level of discipline is limited. When we came up, there was no limit to what mom or dad could do. So you didn't hesitate to do what they asked you to do. Your child knows they can dial a 1-800 number and stop you in your tracks. So as a result, your disciplinary powers are not as great. I do believe that has something to do with the crop of children we're raising in today's society versus previous societies. When I came up, even your neighbor could beat your ass if you got out of hand. Nowadays, if a neighbor or a teacher puts their hand on a child, the whole family for that child comes there and beats the hell out of the folks that were trying to discipline the kid. That didn't used to happen back in the day. My dad would show up. The hell she have to whoop your ass for? Wait till you get home. Wouldn't even question the teacher's actions. I think we were raising better children back then, but I am willing to admit I could be wrong. Looking in the comments, USA is too soft. Kids nowadays don't even know what a switch is. Yeah. I didn't get the switch. I got belts and spoons and electric cords and shit, but I've seen some of my friends, you playing ball or something like that, and the kid gets called in the house. Mom done found out the kid didn't do the dishes or do his homework. You see, this is the saddest sight you could ever see. one of your friends coming out of the house, walking to the backyard to grab a switch off the tree so he can get his own ass beat with it. I have seen that happen. It is the saddest look. You know, even young alpha males, we don't question that. You already know when that kid is looking down and walking to that bush, he about to get his ass kicked. So what we would generally do, we might be playing ball in the backyard or something. We would just kind of silently walk out of his backyard because we know we about to hear some yelling coming out of that house. I do remember that coming up as a kid, watching my friends walk to the switch on the tree to pick their own tool. I suppose you try to pick a smaller one or something like that. I don't know. I never got hit with a switch though. My granddad took his gun to middle school, kept it in his locker, went hunting after. That might work more in a smaller, country environment. I don't know if you're going to put that in a big city where there's a hell of a lot of people with different opinions, diversity, and things where people aren't getting along. If you're in the middle of the country or something where everybody knows each other, maybe, but that can be dangerous. Looking in the comments. We'll keep it moving with Lock Talks. Appreciate you coming on. Good afternoon, people taking out other people for just simply living their lives. What the hell's going on, Lock Talks?
How you doing?
Doing good. Talking about wrong door, wrong driveway, wrong lawn. People just simply doing normal shit. Make a mistake and touch the wrong door. Make a mistake and turn around in the wrong driveway, and all of a sudden the homeowner's taking shots at you. How does that happen? What's causing that?
Well, a lot of it, I think, is just what you were touching on earlier. It's just like the whole society as a whole is being degraded. Hang on one second here.
I think that's kind of what Bernie Sanders was alluding to. I think you may be along those lines. We had gun safety classes in school and target practice. Real quick before my guest comes back, I want to ask this to my beloved folks on the right, my beloved MAGA. Why do we believe exposing children to LGBT issues is something they can't handle, but they can totally handle being exposed to a rifle? I just want to get you guys' opinion on that. Lock Talks, are you back?
Yeah, I'm good to go. All right, yeah. So my thing is, I think it's just, through and through, just American society's been degraded. Like your money's worthless. You have the elite class making, billions of dollars. They told you to sit in your home for 2 years. The media is just blasting you with constant fear, whether it's COVID, Islamic terrorism, now it's war in Ukraine, climate change. It's like they're always keeping you in a sense of fear.
I want to ask you, we're going to continue on this subject, but I mentioned the LGBT community. I just wanted to bring it up because 52 Cent, friend of the program, says rifles, don't touch them in their la-la spot. Do you believe
that is the thing? Yeah, that is a thing. You do see that more from those type of people.
Wait, explain. What do you mean?
I think that's against terms of service, but like you just saw like this couple recently, like these two men, they adopted a son, and then they were like, just abusing it and uploading videos on the internet. And like you see a lot of that more with like you never see like a mother doing that to its child.
Do you believe there is a significant amount of children being abused from LGBT members?
Yeah, you just saw it with this guy on the right wing, Ali Alexander, this huge Marjorie Taylor Greene's friend. He was just soliciting nudes from a minor. Like if you see it more with like, they're going after these minors. It's how it goes. I mean, I don't know. It's just like.
So let me ask you this. I brought this up earlier when the program began. We're talking about keeping LGBT in that lifestyle away from children because, as you're pointing out, you believe it's abusive to children. My comment I have to ask is, why do you think there is no push to keep children away from religious institutions like the Catholic Church that has a significant documented history of abusing children? If we really are in favor of saving children, why are there no laws coming down the pipe to protect children from the Catholic Church?
Well, I don't know about laws, but you do see like a massive pushback. Like everyone is anti-God. Like everyone is like rejecting religion as a whole.
Not on the right wing is talking about putting God back in schools. They're not anti-God.
Well, Catholicism, a lot of these churches, I look at these churches, they're hanging pride flags, they're hanging Ukraine flags, they have their Black Lives Matter flags out. It seems like a lot of these churches are pushing regime approved ideas. And like Catholicism, I mean,
You
I don't
think
know.
that someone like Ron DeSantis is attending a church that has a pride flag hanging out in it?
I mean, him probably not, but there are like you see it. There's a lot of them out there. Like it's
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to find out
okay.
is
And
if we
also, I
truly are
read a
interested.
statistic that
Go
you
ahead.
see it more in schools from teacher to student than in any sort of church format in the United States.
No, but what we know historically, the
Oh yeah,
Catholic Church at the
historically, yeah.
highest
I mean,
levels, wait a minute. At the highest levels, we know that the Catholic Church was playing musical chairs with cardinals and priests that were abusing children to keep them from being prosecuted or brought to justice. Yet we're still taking children to church. You don't see any problem with that.
well, so you're talking about the Vatican specifically, right?
No, I'm talking about all over the world.
Um, so Jesus was never like he said you don't need God to go to
We're not
church.
talking about Jesus. We're not talking about, we're talking about the Catholic Church, not Jesus.
Um, so you just want to like just ban the religion? I mean, I
I
don't
want
know.
to talk about the
You
fact
could say the
that
same thing for like the Islamic terrorism. Like we should just ban all the mosques
yeah,
because there
but
was allegedly
you're
Islamic terrorism.
yeah, but that's the point I'm trying to make is if we're talking about protecting children, why are we not going after a group that is known for abusing children?
Well, yeah, you see that a lot actually. With like we just saw it with like the most prolific person to ever do that ever, who was left leaning, and he got completely
But you're
protected.
still not answering the question. The Catholic Church has a history of abusing children. Why are we not going after that group?
Who's we? The Catholic Church, the Vatican, that's based in like I don't even know where that is. Where's the Vatican? Like
You
you're
don't
talking
see
about
any
just
Catholic churches in America that could actually be. You got all of the cardinals in America. You don't see any issue in America where the Catholic Church exists.
can you like name a specific like incident? Like I mean if you have the incident, like you take the guy and you arrest him.
How much
That's what you do.
money? How much money throughout the 90s did the Catholic Church pay to other Americans that brought up how much abuse they sustained throughout their childhood? You didn't hear about any of these stories?
This isn't my thing. I'm not a big churchian. I just think that like when it's state like you're not the government isn't telling you to go to church, okay? You're not mandated.
They're not.
Kids,
Yeah,
they're
but
pretty much they're mandated to go to school. That's the
you
difference.
don't. You realize how many Catholic schools we have in this country?
Yeah, no one's forcing you to go there. It's all choice.
Nobody's forcing you to go to public school either, but they're making laws in there.
Public school? I was under the understanding if you like don't show up to school, like they come and like arrest your parents or something, right?
Yeah, I
Like you
don't.
have to go to school,
So,
right?
so what you're saying is the Catholics are okay because nobody's for documented abuse, but it's okay because nobody's forcing you to be around them.
I'm not saying. Well, I mean, you don't.
I'm asking. Let me clear it up. Let me clear it up for you. Let me clear it up for you.
I don't
The
really get
Catholic
what you're
Church.
talking.
Let me
Oh
let
yeah,
me
go
let
for
me
it.
explain it, and you can knock it down any way you want. The Catholic Church has a lengthy, documented history of abusing children. Why are there no laws at all addressing this towards the Catholic Church?
There is. It's already against the law to abuse children.
No, I said the Catholic Church. There's already.
What's
You're right. It's against the law to abuse children, but they're still finding ways to target the LGBT community with new laws.
Well, yeah, then you could say the same thing. There's history of abuse in the LGBT community. Like, why won't we legislate that? Like,
We are. That's what Ron DeSantis is doing. He is legislating it. But the Catholic Church, which has a greater amount of abuse in their history, there's no laws at all legislating them. In fact, many of the people proposing laws against the LGBT community actually attend Catholic Church. How does that make sense?
this is just something I've never thought about. Is there? I guess there's just not a lot of public backing for like going after Catholicism. It seems like it's already been like gutted through and through mostly, and it's like kind of lost its own original essence. So like, I don't think they need to
Well,
be like prosecuted. Like what? So what are you proposing? If you open up a
well,
Catholic church, you're
I'm
hauled to jail. Is
proposing.
that what we're
No,
doing?
I'm proposing that if you ask me what I'm proposing that I don't really believe at the end of the day this is about protecting the children. I think it's just a way of masking hatred. It's no different than when African Americans and folks of Caucasians were first integrating. You're talking about interracial marriage. They said the same thing then. If you guys create a child, it's going to be disturbing to the child's mentality because he's not going to know what his heritage is. They were saying the same thing to prevent interracial marriage from being legal, is that it was harmful to children. I believe it's just a way of masking hatred. That's just my opinion, but obviously you have a different opinion.
Well, no. You dragged me onto this Catholicism thing for like 3-4 minutes now, and like you gotta like answer like what are you proposing? Like you just if you're a Catholic or
Fairness.
you have a
Fairness. I'm proposing
so what would it
fairness.
look like if let's say we're like okay we're going after Catholicism because they have a history of being I don't know what the word is abuse to
That's not the
children.
fairness that I would propose. The fairness I would propose is simple. Just leave the LGBT community alone. Quit pretending like they're pedophiles if you're not really going to go after pedophiles. That's all I would say. My fairness would be get rid of all of these new laws that you're targeting this community with. That would be my fairness. If you got a known group of
So
people
it's
that are abusers that
okay. I
have no
get your
laws
point.
against them, then leave this group alone.
Okay, so the difference between me and you is like I don't think we should give fairness to child abusers. I think they're like they don't deserve fairness. Would you disagree?
Okay. No, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
Okay, so what are we getting at?
Well, if we take your route where we're viewing the LGBT community as potential abusers of children and start passing laws to prevent it, then based on your route, then all of a sudden Catholics would probably be banned from being around children because their history is so extensive.
Okay, well that's actually it's funny you mentioned that. I should have brought this up earlier. Like you just saw recently, the FBI was they proposed in the bill, like in their documents that came out, that they were investigating all the Catholic Church, not for child abuse, but for far right extremism and terrorism and stuff like that. But so it goes to show, like there is like a persecution of this religion.
Yeah, but
And
there's a difference between investigating and actually trying to pass laws. Like, for instance, you got Ron DeSantis passing laws where you cannot even discuss LGBT issues in schools, yet the Catholic Church has their own schools. They actually have their own. They should be banned based on their history from even having a school. Just like if you were an abuser, you couldn't go near a school. They would stop you from going there. If you have a history like the Catholic Church, they should be banned from even forming a school.
so Catholicism, it's not rooted in abusing children. It just has a terrible
Neither is the
past.
LGBT community. The LGBT community is not rooted in abusing children. That's not stopping the laws from coming out.
Well, that you can argue.
You actually believe the LGBT community is rooted in abusing children?
Well, so the L, the G, and the B, I think they're doing all right. But once you start to get to the T, if you're giving them like this chemical castration, Lupron, like you're telling a 3-year-old that it's a girl, like when it's 3, and like you raise it in its entire life, like I'd say that's like an inherent.
And you think that most trans folks are doing that to children?
I have seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, it's usually like
How many
moms.
trans folks do you know?
One, and that's how they were. But it's in my family. It's a family member, and they were, a family member was groomed from the
you're
age.
basing this off of one guy.
Well, no,
You're
see it all
basing
the
this off
time.
of one guy.
No, you see it all the time. Like there was how many CEOs at Disney where like the CEO of Disney's like my son is 3 and he's
All right.
trans and like he's non-binary. Like how many like they have these things called babies. You haven't seen these videos? They call them babies.
I gotta move it on, but at the end of the day, so let me ask you this. Considering the Democratic Party is pro-trans, do you think they're in favor of children being abused?
That's I guess so, yeah. I mean, the ones that are for like if you think a 3-year-old like should be like
Should go to the
told,
Catholic Church?
hey, man, I'm not a Catholic. I don't understand
I
what this
gotta
whole
move
thing
it on
is. It's like, it
lockdown.
doesn't even make any
Obviously,
sense. It's like, you're like, well,
okay,
what about
fair
the
enough.
Catholics? Like, I could
All
say, oh,
right,
what about Jeffrey Epstein so I can go do whatever I want to a child? It really makes no sense. And it's like, it's a weird look. It's a bad look. If it's like,
okay,
oh, like there's rapists over here, so these guys should be able to do whatever they want. Like,
all right.
especially in
I
like
gotta move
in
it
what they
on.
want to do is
We
rape children.
obviously,
And it's
yeah,
like,
we
I don't know.
obviously disagree, but yeah, come on back anytime. We obviously disagree, but it's all good. Looking in the comments, that was an interesting conversation. Obviously, I seen the comment section going nuts. I always try to pay attention to what you guys are inputting as far as while maintaining focus with my guests. I seen the comments were going nuts on that one. Nevertheless, I do appreciate you guys rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere on this app. The fact that you're here, it's always an honor. It's Friday. Looking in the comments, the Southern Baptist Church as well. That is true. It doesn't matter what religion you point out. At the end of the day, religion is often a powerful institution. Christine, thank you. Thank you for that TikTok cap. Your generosity makes my Friday better when a few of you guys show your boy some love. Yeah, religion has often been about power. And as we know, power corrupts. Savage. Shout out to you. Thank you. We know power corrupts. So it doesn't really matter what religion you are part of. Chances are there's some corruption in it. As people get more and more powerful, certainly when folks think that this individual has a connection to God, they're willing to do anything. And whoo, Lisa, Jesus, okay. All right, appreciate that boxing robe. I've never seen that. But yeah, when you think that someone has connection to God and all of that power that involves being able to get into heaven eternally, you do whatever that person asks you. And if that person is corrupt, it might be sexual, it might be draining your bank accounts. You never know. It may be getting you to take someone's life. Pastors of all religions have done stuff like that because of the amount of power that's been given to them. Nevertheless, with my last guest, I guess he just did not see the way I was trying to deliver things. I've seen some of you in the audience like, what the hell are you talking about? User. Damn. I got a whole piñata and some fireworks. God, you guys got me feeling sentimental. Thank you. Don't normally get that in the show. Somebody said he was wild. It was different. That was effed up. People are nuts, man. I will say this, and I'll go back to the box. Mind that the LGBT community is allegedly harmful to children. That is the language. That is the mindset. Gets mine. That's can get somebody's life taken. Want to protect our children. That is the most sensitive, most vulnerable among us. That group of people are harmful. You literally get people to start making of that group. And obviously that is the order of the day from folks that are anti-LGBT, is that they are harmful to children, putting their lives in danger. That needs to stop. Listen, I'm going to argue with folks. I'm going to get pushed back. Shout out to the Crane. You kind. You guys have been really. But it's going to be stopped because you are going to get lives taken. How long is it before somebody goes to a pride event or a drag queen show or something like that and does something horrible? And I will admit, somebody brought up the transgender issue in Nashville, transgender person taking out folks at a school. That didn't help that community out at all. You got people that already does not like that community, and then you got from that community, which does not represent the whole community. They go to a school and do something like that. That is not a good thing. Out in Tennessee, of all places, that already hate them. Look at the comments. The only reason that's being said because they're trying to change kids. They're not, though. You think putting a transgender person on a can of Bud Light was meant to change kids? That's not about the kids. I really believe, and I understand my beloved MAGA is not going to like it, not going to agree, but we always hear about free speech and no censorship. I do believe it's masking hatred and disguising it as protecting children. I think there's two issues that illustrate that. One being the Bud Light can. That had nothing to do with children at all. And folks still got upset as hell. Second issue being President Trump stated at CPAC if he is reelected, he's going to ask Congress to go by the gender on your birth certificate, meaning that you essentially could not ever be transgender in the eyes of government. You can't put it on your driver's license. You can't put it on government documents. So the government will no longer recognize you as transgender. That ain't about protecting kids. That's about getting rid of the damn community. But folks are masking it as, well, we're just trying to protect children. I don't believe so, because if you're trying to protect children, you would only do it in areas where children are involved. They're doing it across the board. You couldn't even go on an adult movie as a transgender without somebody complaining. That's not about kids. Wherever they show up, somebody does not want to see them. It's not about protecting children. That's about getting to the it looks like I might be freezing up. It always happens around this time. I don't know what the hell's going on. Bud Light is trying to go after our redneck kids. Why are your redneck kids having access to Bud Light? Might be something wrong with being a redneck if that's the case. Make men men again. That's a definite anti-LGBT slogan there. Stop catering to mental illnesses. Don't we in this country? But I do understand where you're going. But like trying to market less than 10% of people, just bad marketing and capitalism will show. If you have a problem with the trans community in general, just come out and say that. Quit pretending like it's only because of children. Because when they put it on the side of an adult beverage, it has nothing to do with kids. The hatred is still there, then it obviously extends beyond just protecting children. Just come out and admit, I don't like these people. Quit making up these other reasons when the true reason is I just don't like them. I think it's a sin, or I think it's wrong, or I think it's... Be honest with yourself. That's all I'm asking. Be honest with yourself. It ain't about just protecting kids. Otherwise, as long as it's out of schools and it's away from children's media, you shouldn't have a problem with it. The Bud Light can shows you do. So it extends beyond just protecting children. I think that's pretty obvious. I have a problem with that community. There you go, Squatchy dog. There you go. Be honest. Just be honest about it. Quit making up, phony reasons and trying to mask it as something else. And it's okay not to. Exactly. Come out and say that. I don't like these people. The reason people don't say that because I hate you just because. Same reason when it comes to racism. I had a guest say I've never met a racist. Because people don't come out and do that. Racism is like a club. We know, regardless of which side of the aisle is, there have been racist politicians that are, after all, American history, racism was part of law. Try finding politicians that came out and openly admit people. You'll find it's very difficult to do that. Even though racism was the law of the land for most of America's history. Try finding presidents that just came out and said, I don't like blacks or I don't like him. Most not be racist normally happen. So when you say, well, I don't know racist or I don't know a person that hates, no, you won't know. Because they're going to tell you it's for a different reason. Like, it's for protecting children. So it's for a different reason. Always is, always has. 57 to bring up a few folks there, the pros either seeing that are snowflakes. That word Trump side coined. I'm having problems with the show towards the end. This happened for some reason. It's been happening like that. As always, appreciate you folks rolling with your boy. Said like your boy in the handsome liberal. I guess to go. I think so. Yeah, it's not even letting me in the program. That's